This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Large number of millennials at Tervis here, which you might think being in the Venice area wouldn't be as possible, but we're able to offer people a lot of different skills.
If you're looking for work, move to South Sarasota County. Business is booming, but what kind of jobs are they, and do they pay enough to live on? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on the business boom in South County in a moment, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. The massive, controversial, and long-debated Aqua by the Bay project is back in the spotlight tonight. Manatee County commissioners deciding whether to approve the project on El Conquistador Parkway at Sarasota Bay. Aqua by the Bay is a 529-acre project featuring homes and resort-style living. Supporters and opponents have been saying their piece all day long to commissioners. There are issues involving height and environmental impact. The Planning Commission recently rejected the project.
The county understands the culmination of 25 months of good planning, and their staff understood that, and they have spoken in support of our project. And we believe that it's transformational for this county, and we think it'll be an award-winning community when we're up and running. So we're hopeful that they will approve it, but there's no guarantees in life.
No decision was made today. They will meet again next Wednesday. It started as a small crack in a Manatee County Plaza parking lot and has now grown into a massive hole. Business owners in Cortez Plaza East have been dealing with sunken ground for some time. The damage is from a ruptured pipe over a year ago. A business owner says it is only getting worse.
Every customer asks, when are they going to fix it? Even if it's a first-time customer, that they've been through the plaza and know that it's been going on for a long time.
Repairs were finally made last month, but just weeks later, Tropical Storm Emily came through, creating even more damage. Sarasota police have arrested a man for allegedly selling drugs and syringes to day laborers in downtown Sarasota. Undercover detectives say 45-year-old Calvin Butler sold workers in the area cocaine, opioids, and paraphernalia. Butler was also arrested by Sarasota police this April.
Our narcotics officers arrested Calvin Butler in April, and he bonded out of those bonded out of jail on those charges. And while he was out of jail, he, during the month of July, conducted 4 separate undercover operation narcotics deals with our officers once again.
Detectives describe Butler as a big mover and shaker in the local drug community. A tense standoff that lasted 6 hours is over. Sheriff's deputies went to a home on Bayshore Road in Palmetto around 8 this morning to investigate a domestic battery call. The suspect, whose name has not been released, refused to come out of the house and was possibly armed. A woman inside was able to escape. A SWAT team surrounded the home, and nearby schools were put on lockdown. Negotiators finally convinced him to come out around 2:30 this afternoon. He faces battery and possibly kidnapping charges. Last week, we reported Florida had the second most child pedestrian deaths in the nation. First week of school on the Suncoast, and the teenager has already been hit by a car. 15-year-old Benjamin Nicholson was riding his bike southbound on Old Venice Road. The teenager crossed into the northbound lane and was struck by a car. His injuries are described as serious. The Sunshine State is weighing in on the strife in Venezuela. Governor Rick Scott and the trustees of the state's $150 billion pension plan have voted to bar investments that could support the regime of President Nicolas Maduro. Scott's proposal won't have immediate impact. Florida's pension plan doesn't currently invest in any companies or securities controlled or owned by Venezuela. There's a new Republican candidate for governor tonight. State Senator Jack Latvala entered the race to replace Governor Rick Scott. During an announcement at a Miami area fire station, Latvala is challenging Agriculture Commissioner Adam Putnam for the Republican nomination. Bob, no rain today. That's a rarity.
Well, no rain in some areas. It's been rather dry here over the last 3 days. We're about 3, almost 4 inches below average for this month, which is typically one of the wettest months of the year. And now there are some showers developing. We'll show you those on the radar just in a moment. We have had some rain in some isolated areas, a little bit more than we've seen over the past couple of days, but not nearly as much as you would expect. 88 right now, the heat index high, as it has been all week, and winds are out of the north-northeast at 5. Now the radar showing that activity near Osprey, you can see that, and just south of Sebring. It's few and far between. This cell right here in particular has just popped up as a result of some previous storms that were around. I want to sensitize the radar, go back to about 3 o'clock, and you can see again the activity developing as a result of the outflow boundaries from previous storms around. There's one, there's two, they kind of met there, and then another one blowing up from there, creating this storm that you see near Osprey. And just to the north of Venice there, that's generating some lightning strikes too. And it looks as though it has a chance to make its way out to Siesta. So folks on Siesta Key, be careful as we look at some showers and storms up there near Osprey. The rain is heavy near US 41. And rainfall totals have been impressive in some isolated areas, especially near Port Charlotte, where they saw nearly 2.5 inches of rain and just over an inch in Hardee and DeSoto counties. Lesser amounts near the coast, but Palmetto and also Palmasola getting some rain. The strongest storm of the season is now Gert. It has winds at 100 miles an hour. The news on Gert is that it's heading away from land. It's only the 7th storm in that far north latitude of a Category 2 strength over the last 100 years. So a little unusual, but this ocean is really fired up right now. We have more on the way.
It looks like it's headed to Europe.
Yeah, eventually it is heading off in the North Atlantic.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, business is booming. Unemployment is at its lowest level in 16 years. We'll tell you what that means for us on the Suncoast right after the break. Stay with us.
Jacuzzi is proud to present our first ever safe bathing event. The Jacuzzi walk-in tub allows you or a loved one to take a safe and relaxing bath. Never climb in and out of a regular bathtub again. Our walk-in tub offers a low step-in threshold, fast drain technology, soothing hydrotherapy, and even a shower handle. Regain bathing independence with a Jacuzzi walk-in tub and enjoy spending more time with loved ones. Why wait any longer? During our safe bathing event, save $750 on a new walk-in tub. Receive $250 in safety upgrades and a $100 Visa gift card. But if you call right now during this program, we'll double the savings to $1,500, double the safety upgrades to $500, and double it to a $200 Visa gift card with your walk-in tub purchase. Going back to where it all began in 1956, Jacuzzi Incorporated was founded and the whirlpool bathing category was born. Jacuzzi's patented Hydra massage jets provide an unmatched bathing experience. Jacuzzi is proud to present our first ever safe bathing event. Never climb in and out of a regular bathtub again. Our walk-in tub offers a low step-in threshold, fast drain technology, soothing hydrotherapy, and even a shower handle. During our safe bathing event, save $750 on a new walk-in tub. Receive $250 in safety upgrades and a $100 Visa gift card. But if you call right now during this program, we'll double the savings to $1,500, double the safety upgrades to $500, and double it to a $200 Visa gift card with your walk-in tub purchase. A safe and relaxing bath is only a phone call away. Call right now to save double on a new walk-in tub. Call now.
ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you weeknights at 5.
It's not every company from the Suncoast showcased at the White House. North Venice-based Tervis was last month. The company is creating job and manufacturing its products right here. A number of local firms are doing the same. The question is, for Christopher Brantley, do they pay jobs that are good enough for working families to survive? Christopher.
You know, and it actually may surprise a lot of people. Venice is a huge hub for some major manufacturers, and you may even have some of their products in your home. The two biggest on the Suncoast are actually only a block away from each other. The factory floors of Tervis Tumbler are a mixed salad of ages, ethnicities, and races. It seems the Cubs advertise to bring folks together even when they're being made.
The benefits of our product makes Florida the perfect fit. It is very functional and very conducive to this lifestyle.
Their cups are designed to keep cool things cool and warm things warm, all customized especially for you. The company was started in 1947 but moved to Venice in the 60s by Winslow Donnelly. Rogan Donnelly, the current president, is his grandson.
He was a boater, so he had a life raft company. He was a hunter, so he had a rifle company. And the joke is that he was a drinker, so he needed a glassware company.
Today, that company's products are sold nationwide. Chances are you have them in your kitchen right now. While the company could have moved away, they discovered the success of their product comes largely from the folks who make it.
We're situated well right here in Venice between the two areas. We have all the way up from Tampa to as far south as Northport, even Fort Myers will get some talent there as well.
33% of all of the employees have been here for more than 5 years. And here's something you don't necessarily think of when you think of Venice, but 44% of the total number of employees are millennials. And that could be because of the benefits and pay.
We match our 401k up to 6%. We also have 4 to 6 weeks of maternal and paternal leave. So that's something that we want to grow our family culture.
That word family is something we heard a lot at Tervis Tumbler and next door at PGT.
More than just simply, if you will, them being here for a job, but it's also about how we care about them as individuals, as people, as team members, as family members here at PGT.
PGT is a window manufacturing company. They have a family of well over 2,000, 50% of which have been there for more than 5 years.
There aren't many companies that provide all the things that PGT do.
Santo Pagan is a product specialist. He works at a desk now, but when he started 14 years ago, he loaded the company's hurricane impact windows onto trucks.
My pay has been great throughout the years. It's always accommodated what I needed it to be.
As the economy ebbs and flows, both companies say they work hard to balance it out to ensure their employees are paid a livable wage.
When we think about the average of, like, say, our experienced worker, they could be anywhere from $12 to $14 an hour, that as a wage, if you will, in that area if they've been here for a while.
For any employees that do need help, PGT offers financial assistance courses, including classes on balancing budgets.
For me, that's what makes me want to work harder for them, what makes me want to do the jobs that I'm doing, make them better, show that this company can be successful, because in the end, their success is my success. So.
And as another line of help, PGT is building a nearly $2 million daycare facility for their employees, many of whom have children. The building is set to be open next year.
Wow, Christopher, thank you very much. Coming up, the head of the Chamber of Commerce and a business reporter help us build a better trapezoid.
You studied hard, went to college, and achieved your dream, but it turned into a financial nightmare. If you have federal student loans and you'd like to reduce your payments, get more time, or have your loans completely eliminated, then we have good news. With one call to Student Loan Relief Services, you can find support and guidance. We've already helped thousands of people, and we can help you too. If you have $10,000 or more in federal student loans, you can qualify for payment extensions, payment reductions, or you may qualify to have your federal student loan completely forgiven. Call Student Loan Relief Services now to find out about your options. Take control of your finances and get out from under this burden. One of our student loan experts has the answers to your questions and great solutions to ease your financial burden. We're here for you. Call Student Loan Relief Services now.
Call 800-759-0203, 800-759-0203. Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-628-1251, 800-628-1251.
Join the fun at the Weddings of Sarasota 17th Annual Wedding Show at the iconic Sarasota Municipal Auditorium on US 41. Sunday, August 27th from noon to 4. Enjoy food, fun, and entertainment with a runway show on stage at 3 p.m. $2,000 in Weddings of Sarasota dollars given out after the runway show. You must be present to win. Pre-register at weddingsofsarasota.com. Brides and grooms are free if registered by midnight on August 25th. Weddings of Sarasota. Register today.
Welcome back. Yes, the economy has recovered and the stock market is booming. Florida's unemployment is at a 10-year low at 4.1%. Many workers who lost their jobs during the economic collapse are working again, but in many cases, their new jobs don't pay as much as the ones that they lost. In South Sarasota County, that may be true as well, but here's another but. Two local companies, Tervis and PGT, are booming, and they are putting a premium on paying their employees a livable wage. What a concept! Joining us for more is Kevin Cooper of the Greater Sarasota Chamber of Commerce and Mark Gordon of the Business Observer and ABC7 South County reporter Christopher Brantley. Christopher, I think a lot of people did not know that there are companies this size in South Sarasota County and that so many millennials are there working at them.
Absolutely. Drive down I-75 and you pass right by them. You don't even know it. These are huge companies. PGT, nearly 2,000 employees. Tervis Tumbler, 700.
Mark, in terms of what you know about the local business economy, there are a lot of businesses that are starting up. What is, in the big picture, the environment right now in South County in terms of the number of companies, and are they hiring, and are they hiring at wages that people can live on?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of companies that are hiring in South Sarasota County. Right, the ones Christopher's talking about, right on those streets there, the Triangle Park and those roads right there. Several manufacturers are also hiring there. I think the wage is climbing up. I don't think the wages are climbing as rapidly as the jobs are being filled.
And Kevin, I've asked you about this often because, and I remember talking to your predecessor about it. When are wages going to start catching up to how businesses in general are doing? Are you seeing anything out there that will give people who are working but maybe earning less than they used to some hope?
Yeah, I think so. If you look at statistics out of the Bureau of Labor for the United States, you'll see that the last report that came out showed Sarasota County was the 27th fastest growing county in the United States for average weekly wage growth. We are 14th in the state of Florida. Now, the state of Florida, we are lower than the state of Florida, we're lower than the United States, but what we see going on here is a faster clip of average weekly wage growth for our workers. We are higher than Manatee County, we're higher than DeSoto County, and we're higher than Charlotte County. So there is promise. Again, there is some ground to make up. We are lower than the average in the state of Florida, we're lower than the average in the United States, but certainly there is promise on the horizon.
You know, Christopher, you mentioned something in your story, which you used to hear more about, but not so much in recent years, that I believe it was PGT that you said that they're starting a daycare for employees' children. That is something that a lot of companies cut back on when the economy tightened up.
But look at PGT's standpoint. 50% of their people have been there for more than 5 years. They want to keep those people. Those are people they have invested all kinds of training into to have the specific jobs that they have. By opening up that daycare, that just continues these people employment because they'll be happier in the long run.
Hey, Mark, do you know how many companies out there locally do offer that kind of assistance to employees?
I mean, there's definitely other companies of the same size that do that. I'd probably a handful. I don't think that's a significant amount, but at a certain size, you get to 500, 600, 700 employees. I think you have to start doing those kinds of things where you can retain these employees that Christopher was talking about. You've spent the money on training them, you want to keep them. So whether it's a cafeteria, a gym, other kinds of perks, there's companies that do that.
You know, Kevin, isn't this about being competitive for workers, which are in some cases at the premium that companies have to offer these kinds of benefits to employees, or they're not going to get them?
I don't think so, and I think it points to when you look at employers like PGT and Tervis, it isn't, are they creating the right types of jobs here in Sarasota County? The real question is, how do we keep them creating jobs in Sarasota County for the next 100 years? Employers don't need to do these things. As the labor market tightens, the unemployment rate is lowering, you see competition for employees and wages start to increase, but these ancillary benefits, whether it be through health care, daycare, gym memberships, and other ancillary benefits, you don't see all companies doing those type of things because they don't have that critical mass.
Right, we are just getting warmed up here. We'll have much more on South County jobs coming up right after we check First Alert weather.
I heard about the Dotoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Dotoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was. I can tell you that you will not find a finer, more professional team of clinicians anywhere in the world.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a Bard IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Bard Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential, there's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the Bard IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess? You need the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. A system that cleans practically anything and everything with super absorbent microfiber. Dip it in the washer side and the mess releases into the bucket. Then place it in the dryer side and push on the pedal. You get a clean mop pad that's practically dry and ready for more. And your hands will never again touch a dirty, disgusting mop. The heads are washable and reusable. Get the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our 2-for-1 Pick It Up special and get a second spin mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-394-1524 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call 1-800-394-1524. Call now.
Our conversation on South County jobs continues right after we get a check on the forecast with First Alert Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Thanks, Ellen. We have had a little bit more rainfall around today. This from the Casey Key webcam. This is just an indication of things to come tomorrow as the atmosphere will moisten up just a little bit. But at Casey Key, not much. Some clouds overspilling from some showers that have been developing and down near, again, Osprey. The system, this is Gert. It is now the strongest hurricane of the Atlantic season thus far, with the winds up to 100 miles an hour. And it's pretty far north to have that strong of winds. Again, it's pushing off to the northeast, not having any major impact on any land area at this time. Those are the storms we kind of like. They disperse the excessive heat and energy in the Atlantic, which needs to be done. Now you can see the Titan radar picture showing a little bit more activity today. Not as much as you would expect, but there's that shower and occasional lightning strike that's occurring on the south end of Siesta Key, stretching down to Osprey. Now this is generally drifting off to the west at around 5 miles an hour. And it looks like this could spread a little bit more toward the north end of Siesta Key, but not much out there. Elsewhere, fairly quiet into Hardy County. We had a few brief storms earlier. It looks like, for the most part, and near Sarasota Bay, the Van Wezel webcam showing fair conditions out there in terms of the sea conditions. 88 degrees now. The heat index still very warm at 97, and that's due to the high dew point temperature, which is at 74. The high today was 1 degree above average. The low this morning running 4 degrees above the average, which is typically at 74 degrees. And just 2/100ths of an inch of rainfall at the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport. We are over 3 inches below average for the month and more than that for the year. And it looks like we will see some showers and storms back in the picture tomorrow. The rain chance is increasing somewhat. A chance for showers and storms scattered about in the afternoon and evening. And then similar conditions on Friday, and then things change back to dry conditions on Saturday as some drier air slips in. Well, here's the latest on Gert. Top winds at 100 miles an hour. It's moving very fast to the northeast at 31, and that will continue to head off into the North Atlantic, where it will eventually move into the colder waters and dissipate into a low pressure area. Well, that's not too much concern for land area, but we have to watch these 3 tropical waves. Things are really starting to get active in the Atlantic. The first disturbance is located just to the east of the Windward Islands. It's pushing off to the west right now. In the next 5 days, it has a 50% chance of developing. And the good news is that all the models are in fairly good agreement. The Canadian models are showing it more toward the Bahamas, at least a couple of those are. But the consensus is that it's going to head to Central America, staying away from Florida. That's the first disturbance. The second one, which has some rotation to it already, has a chance at 50% over the next 5 days. And unfortunately, this path is not the best for Florida. As you see, all the models are in agreement, but I must caution you, there's no centralized area of low pressure, so the models don't do a real good job at projecting where it's going. This is kind of a general place where it may be in 5 days from now. And you'll notice near Cuba, just to the east of Florida, so that one bears watching. The third one appears to be going into the open waters of the Atlantic, but there's a lot of ifs on all 3 of those systems. For us, a few scattered showers around for tonight, and then tomorrow, a few coastal showers are possible in the early afternoon, and then we'll see some convergence in the central part of the state with a chance of them coming back toward the coast later on in the evening. So for boaters tomorrow, not much wind for your sail out there. Seas running really less than 2 feet. A light chop, and the water temperature 91 degrees. And as far as the tides go upcoming, 10:49 for the next high tide. Well, let's get to the extended forecast and show you the rain chances increasing tomorrow and Friday, sliding down on Saturday, back with us again on Sunday. And we'll be keeping a close watch on the tropics all of next week. Alan will be back with his guests right after this. Stick around.
When you want to get away from it all, to a place where you can do everything, or nothing at all, surrounded by natural beauty and all the modern amenities you might desire, then you'll want to be here at the Wanna Be Inn on the beautiful shores of Manasota Key, Florida. To plan your escape, log on to wannabein.com.
Call to see if you qualify to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan right now. At Humana, we believe great things are ahead of you when you start with healthy. And part of staying healthy means choosing the right Medicare plan. Humana can help. With Original Medicare, you're covered for hospital stays and doctor office visits when you're sick, but keep in mind you'll have to pay a deductible for each. A Medicare supplement plan can cover your deductibles and coinsurance, but you may pay higher premiums than you do with other plans. And prescription drug coverage isn't included. But with an all-in-one Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you could get all that coverage plus Part D prescription drug benefits, all for an affordable monthly plan premium, and in some areas, no plan premium. It's all described in this free book and DVD. Call for yours and discover how an all-in-one Medicare Advantage plan from Humana could save you money. Call 1-800-558-8779.
Jacuzzi is proud to present our first ever safe bathing event. The Jacuzzi walk-in tub allows you or a loved one to take a safe and relaxing bath. Never climb in and out of a regular bathtub again. Our walk-in tub offers a low step-in threshold, fast drain technology, soothing hydrotherapy, and even a shower handle. Regain bathing independence with a Jacuzzi walk-in tub and enjoy spending more time with loved ones. Why wait any longer? During our safe bathing event, save $750 on a new walk-in tub. Receive $250 in safety upgrades and a $100 Visa gift card. But if you call right now during this program, Well, double the savings to $1,500, double the safety upgrades to $500, and double it to a $200 Visa gift card with your walk-in tub purchase. Call right now to save double on a new walk-in tub. Call now.
Welcome back. We're talking about jobs and the livable wage on the Suncoast, specifically in South County. And joining us for more is Kevin Cooper of the Greater Sarasota Chamber of Commerce, Mark Gordon of the Business Observer, and ABC7 South County reporter Christopher Brantley. And before the break, we started talking about that some companies down there, PGT, I believe, is starting daycare for their employees. I don't think a lot of companies understand that it's not just the wages, it is the fact that many employees have to put their kids into daycare. What was your conversation with the company?
So I talked to the director of human resources, and I basically posed it to him saying, you don't need to do any of this. They don't need to have this cafeteria in their building. They don't need to build a daycare. They don't need to help their folks with financial assistance and all the things that they do. They don't need to do any of it, and they'd still have people knocking on the door because they pay, decently well for these jobs, and so many people need jobs. They said that it is cheaper and more affordable for them to have these daycares, to do all of this for their employees, than have constant turnaround coming into their business, constantly having to retrain folks.
Kevin, the obvious question is, why don't more companies do this? After all, I know so many families that have to make a calculation about whether or not both the husband and wife have to, one has to stay home because the cost of daycare does not make it worthwhile for both to work.
Yeah. For most families, child care is either the highest or second highest cost next to where they live. So it's a big factor, and I think what is able to motivate PGT and what is able to make it work is the critical mass of employees. From 2013 to today, PGT has added over 1,000 workers at the Venice location. So for them, having about 2,100 employees there allows for that critical mass where a $2 million investment makes it work, which creates more jobs, by the way, for people to actually service the daycare facilities. So for many employers that have 20 or fewer employees or 50 or fewer employees, the critical mass isn't there. That's not to say that employers can't get together and form a group to do those type of projects, but for one to do it, it's really challenging.
Mark, what are local companies telling you about hiring at this point, both in South County and elsewhere? Has the economy and profits increased significantly enough that the companies that have held back on their hiring for the last 10 years are finally doing so?
I definitely think so. I think there are companies that can't find the right employees, whether it's training or different kind of talent. You might have heard that from PGT or from Tervis, but I hear that all the time, that we want trained employees. We want to be able to hire employees that know how to do these kinds of jobs. And you definitely hear that also South County, really anywhere in Sarasota County, in home building, construction. I mean, there's a major labor shortage going on right now in terms of construction jobs. I mean, there's projects in downtown Sarasota that were delayed because they couldn't have enough workers to finish the projects that we've written about. Other publications have noted as well.
So what is the business community doing about that in order to at least attract qualified workers to come into the area? I guess construction is a whole other issue in terms of what you can do to attract workers to be here to build on all the developments going up.
Yeah, I think it's multifaceted. Some of the things we're talking about, wages are climbing because of that. Labor market is tight. It is a lot more competitive for employers to go find the employees. They are adding more benefits. They are making sure that the swath of things that they include isn't just about what the paycheck looks like. It's about the whole holistic benefit of being an employee at a certain company. And the ongoing challenge for us isn't necessarily wages. There's some outside things. I think Mark talked about the skills gap. In the United States, the average workforce participation rate is about 63%. In the state of Florida, it's 58%. In Sarasota, it's 50%. Half of our residents aren't in the workforce. We have a lot of retirees, so it's a big challenge for us to find those skilled workers when a lot of the people that live here simply aren't working for one reason or another. So, but I think to the question of wages, that actually benefits wages. It's tougher to find workers, tougher to find good labor. So the wages are climbing because of that.
Christopher, we focused on two companies mainly in your story, but what are you hearing about other companies in South County?
Well, you take a tourism business or a little tchotchke business, if you will, down on Venice Avenue. During the tourist season, I'm blanking on the name, but the Venice Stationers is the name of the business. They have sometimes half a dozen employees during season. It fluctuates quite a bit, and so it really is all about the time of year for a tourism business. But for something like this, for these manufacturing jobs, this is year-round. So I mean, it really depends, depending on where you are in Venice.
There's been a lot of discussion over the past year about Governor Scott's efforts to fund the programs that attract businesses to Florida. He is still going out around the country trying to pilfer companies from elsewhere to come down here. But if the workforce is limited, is that money well spent to try to attract people, to companies to come down here?
I think it is to a certain extent, depending on how much money it is. As you've talked about, I've been on this show before, we've talked about some money that's been misspent from an economic development standpoint, so I think that's something to consider. But I definitely think it's a worthy investment to have an economic development office.
Kevin?
Yeah, I think it's valuable. I think one of the greatest benefits of this country is the mobility of the workforce. And especially with technology, people are finding they don't need to be anchored to where they were born. They can move all over the country to work. So when good jobs exist, people are willing to travel. People are willing to uproot their families and move there. So I think the attraction mechanisms and the money put towards that is very well spent.
We've also been talking on this broadcast a great deal over the last months about the efforts to fix health care, whether you believe in repealing and replacing Obamacare. But for those who are on employees insurance, what I often hear is the cost to employees are skyrocketing so much that limits in terms of what these companies can do in terms of offering raises to try to keep their employees.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to a certain thing, which is the fact that I think from a consumer mindset, people have an inflated sense of what net profit margins are for a lot of businesses. They really think businesses are making a lot more than they really are, and I think PGT is a publicly traded company. You can go look at their net profit margin, and you'll see it's not what I think some people would think it is. So as healthcare costs increase, it does make it a little more challenging at the end of the day. You have a finite pot of money to move around, and whether you move it into employee benefits or you move it into payroll, it is discretionary to you, but in a way, there's definitely an ebb and flow or a pull and tug there.
So, Mark, what is the near term and the longer term outlook of our local business community in terms of hiring and in terms of salaries?
I think it will continue to get better. As Kevin mentioned, the data points that way, that the salaries are catching up. I think home builders are continuing to build homes, and people need to buy those homes that they're building. You talk about South County, there's all the building going on in Venice, whether it's Neal Communities or 5 or 6 other builders that are building there. So I think there's going to continue to be more jobs in Sarasota, but in South County as well.
You talk about the West Villages is expanding at it seems like a daily rate. There's another 12.5 houses popping up. Those, expanding of the West Villages, creating potentially a shopping center right next to where the Braves Stadium is going to be built. I mean, that's a whole area that's nothing but grass right now. Come back in 10 years, it's going to be a booming metropolis.
Well, I think when we talk about wages and we talk about building, the piece here about the cost of living in Sarasota County, the one outlying factor that really pumps up the cost of living here is housing. And so when we look at the lack of multifamily and affordable housing in Sarasota County, that is really a forefront factor in what we do about attracting employees, attracting companies that come here that don't know how they're going to house their workers because they can't afford to live here. So the wages are there. The fact is we do not provide a continuum of housing for the continuum of wages that exist.
So what is the business community trying to do about that?
I mean, the sense is finding out what is the barrier. And so whether you look at a tax credit piece, whether you look at a zoning piece, what is the big barrier from affordable housing developments to come in? And I think in Sarasota County, what we have seen to a certain degree is that there has been a less than favorable focus on multifamily housing in this community. What we focus on is that housing is 4 walls and a roof. And we build it at very low density, and we do not have the density and the multifamily development that it takes to drive rents down. The supply simply is not there, and so the fight is to make sure that there is an ample supply for the demand for these workers.
And right out there, right off of Laurel Road and the Knights Trail area, right where PGT and Tervis Tumbler is, there's the perfect example of that is an affordable housing complex this city and several others would like to build, including PGT and Tervis Tumbler would like this affordable housing complex with nearly 500, I think it's 510 multifamily units to be built, literally within eyesight of both of these companies.
Because what we often hear in terms of whether you're a firefighter, a police officer, a teacher, in Sarasota, many of these folks are living more than an hour away from the area just simply because they cannot afford to live here. I would imagine that if you are having growing industry in South County, there's a better shot in terms of living and working in that community than.
Well, you think Northport. Northport is a relatively affordable place to live. And then you go to Venice and it's a little bit more expensive. Then you go to Sarasota and it's much more expensive. Then you go to Manatee County and it starts to go down a little bit. And that's why in the piece you heard Rogan Donnelly say that they have a lot of employees coming from Tampa, coming from the Northport area, even some in Fort Myers. These are all folks who are living farther away from where they work so that they can live comfortably and still work in this area.
And the fact of the matter is, from a business standpoint, the cost of land, the cost of regulation, none of that has any effect on the pro forma of a business or the net profit margin of a business and the sales of what they're doing. So from a business standpoint, the Nolan Gardens example that Chris was giving was a great example of Venice, Northport, the United Way, Tervis, PGT getting together, identifying the problem and trying to come to a solution. And the question is that going to fly? Is the model going to work? And I think and hope that it will, so that we can employ more projects like this in this area and really around the region.
And that kills two birds with one stone. That gives more housing out in that area, and it also helps with the affordable housing issue that we've talked about on this broadcast a dozen times.
Kevin mentioned tax credits. Is there something either the county commission can do, or are businesses trying to go to the state legislature and get those tax breaks to build more affordable housing to get the workers here?
I don't think it's more of a local thing. I think both Manatee and Sarasota County have had some issues in the past about sort of being the party of no when it comes to some of these density things that Kevin's talking about, very restrictive in certain ways, and I think it kind of ebbs and flows and it's changed a little bit.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with final thoughts when we return.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
If you're only hungry for a slice of apple pie, why buy the whole pie? And you certainly wouldn't want to pay for an all-you-can-eat buffet. So if you don't use your cell phone that much, why get charged for a plan that's too big, or even an unlimited plan? Luckily, there's still a wireless company that shares your values. Welcome to Consumer Cellular. Our average customer pays about $25 a month for everything they need. Many pay even less, as plans start at just $10 a month. You'll get a straightforward bill that's easy to understand, with no surprises, and all the attention you deserve from our friendly customer service team. No wonder Consumer Cellular has received J.D. Power Awards for highest customer service. Plus, if you're an AARP member, you'll receive special discounts. It's easy to switch. You can even keep your phone and your number. And now, for a limited time, get a $20 credit on any new line of service. Call 1-800-468-1930. Go to consumercellular.com or visit a Target store today.
This is an important medical announcement. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to uncontrollable bleeding and even death. If you've been prescribed one of these drugs and have experienced these dangerous side effects, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Studies show that Pradaxa can cause more heart attacks than warfarin, and other countries have already issued safety warnings against this drug. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. The call is confidential, there's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to Pradaxa victims, and thousands of Xarelto victims are filing their legal cases. Call the Drug Watch hotline if you or a loved one used Xarelto or Pradaxa and experienced uncontrollable bleeding, brain hemorrhage, or even death. You must call now.
Call 800-793-6055. 800-793-6055.
Start your day with a new Good Morning Suncoast team. Weekdays starting at 5 a.m.
We're talking about job creation and livable wages in South County. Our guests join us right now for final thoughts. So, Kevin, we focused on two companies tonight. How many other companies are out there that are almost in the position where they are going to start hiring in terms of large numbers and really going after wages and offering these other kind of benefits that we've been talking about, including childcare?
I mean, I think everyone would be surprised. There's a lot of companies in Sarasota County that are of significant mass, that are doing a lot of hiring, and then looking really about how to retain their talent because the skills gap is strong, because they're having a hard time finding workers. So they're driving wages up because unemployment is down. So wages are tight. And I think, you know, what we need to do, and I think we touched a lot about this in this conversation, is not ask, are these the type of jobs we want, but ask, how do these companies continue to create jobs here into the future? And I think there's a lot of things we need to do to focus on as a community, affordable housing being one of them, to make sure that the continuum is available for these continuum of workers, because no matter what we do in places like PGT, where the average wage is 73% higher than the minimum wage, they're doing the right thing.
Mark, what are businesses telling you?
They're telling me that they definitely want to be hiring. They want more certainty from the government, whether it's state or especially federal, whether it's health. We talked a little bit about healthcare. They want more certainty about what Obamacare or whatever it's going to be. And what they need to pay their employees from that.
And Christopher, the two companies that you talked to, these are good times. You know, what's the mood of the employees right now?
The mood of the employees is relatively happy. I mean, you walk down both factory floors and people are smiling in good moods. They're all being paid well. They're getting good benefits, and they are going to continue having their jobs.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Finally, it is that time of the year again, back to school, but some teachers spend hundreds of their own dollars on school supplies for our kids. And we asked you yesterday what you thought of teachers spending their own money in the classrooms and on students, and here's what you were saying. From Linda, it should be the parents' responsibility to send their child prepared for school, but in the event that he, she isn't, then yes, the school should reimburse the teachers for those supplies. Paula says, I am a retired teacher, and many years ago we were given plenty of money for our classrooms. However, as the years went by, our supply money dwindled to practically nothing, so we just learned to do without. And then there's Robert, who says, here's an idea. If you can't afford children, don't have children. It's not the taxpayers or the teacher's responsibility to provide for your children. Robert, did you ever stop to consider some of our friends and neighbors might now not be earning as much money as they used to? It's not right that teachers are spending their money on their own supplies, but do you presume to know why some families can't afford everything that they need for their kids? Consider that for a moment. If you'd like to join the conversation about tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/news@7. And FYI, you can watch past discussions. They're on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Thanks to our guests for being here tonight. Kevin Cooper is with the Greater Sarasota Chamber of Commerce. Mark Gordon is of the Business Observer, and ABC7 South County reporter Christopher Brantley. When we return, we'll have a final look at your first alert weather, plus a memorial was held today for Heather Heyer, the victim from the rallies in Charlottesville. Stay with us.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate or shop at Goodwill,
I am creating a job.
I am Goodwill, yeah.
The following message is brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers, which is why we offer a free book written by medical professionals who have treated mesothelioma.
Call toll-free at 1-800-777-1366 or go to Mesobook.com.
When you want to get away from it all, to a place where you can do everything, or nothing at all, surrounded by natural beauty and all the modern amenities you might desire, then you'll want to be here at the Wanna Be Inn on the beautiful shores of Manasota Key, Florida. To plan your escape, log on to wannabeinn.com.
It's Lincoln's summer sales event here at Alex Karras Lincoln. Drive a brand new 2017 Lincoln MKX Sport Utility for $349 per month, or Lincoln's flagship, the 2017 Continental, for $449 per month. We have a great selection of certified pre-owned Lincolns. These vehicles have warranties up to 100,000 miles and come with complimentary roadside assistance. Alex Karras Lincoln, affordable luxury, winner of the prestigious 2015 President's Award, serving Florida's Sun Coast since 1978. We're located 2 miles north of the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport on US 41.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View. I'm Stephanie Roberts on Suncoast View. We learn about toxic trouble in your teeth from mercury fillings. Plus, the Blue-Eyed Betties perform, and Harry's Continental Kitchen is here. Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get a final check on our forecast from First Alert Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. Right now we have some clouds around, and Gert is getting stronger in the Atlantic as it moves northeastward very fast at 31 miles an hour. Has a well-defined eye, winds up to 100 miles an hour. But for us, the winds have been rather calm here, but they are going to pick up a little bit tomorrow out of the east, and we'll see a little bit more shower activity. Right now, some light rain near Siesta, at least the south end, not much. And Osprey had some lightning strikes there earlier. That is starting to wind on down, but could generate some other showers nearby. For the most part, the rain that was heavier into Hardy and DeSoto counties also weakening at this hour. Nice sunset coming up just after 8 o'clock this evening. 88 degrees, the heat index at 98 at this hour. Winds out of the north, very light at 5. And the 100-mile-an-hour winds associated with Gert, making it the strongest hurricane of the season thus far. There's only been 2. Franklin was the other one, as it makes its way off to the north-northeast. And it looks as though we have 3 others that we're monitoring out in the Atlantic. 3 strong tropical waves, and these waves have a chance, pretty good chance, at developing into a tropical depression or tropical storm. Things are really starting to get active. There's 1, 2, and 3 right now. 1 appears to be headed off basically to the west in time. It's going to have a hard chance of developing, but even if it does develop, it should stay well to our south. 2, on the other hand, is going to take a different route, it looks like. Now, although these computer forecast models are not yet defined, because the area of low pressure really isn't defined at this point, but it takes off toward the west-northwest, and this is in 5 days from now. The consensus is somewhere in this general area in 5 days from now, so that puts Florida a little bit more in the picture, but it's still a long way off. It may not have an impact at all. Well, the Futurecast is showing a few showers this evening, then partly cloudy tomorrow. 1 or 2 coastal showers are possible, and then we'll see showers developing on the sea breeze front in the early afternoon, developing in the central part of the state, then working back toward the coast later on in the evening on Thursday, and pretty similar conditions on Friday. For boaters tomorrow, seas running less than 2 feet with a light chop out there. Tides upcoming on your screen. Low tide will be at 2:26 and sunset at 8:07. Tonight, a few evening showers are possible, warm and muggy. Tomorrow, high of 91, mainly afternoon. Scattered storms around, otherwise partly cloudy, continued warm. And the extended forecast is calling for a better chance for rain on Sunday. Saturday, it dries out a little bit, and then we'll be watching the tropics closely next week. Al will be back with prime time headlines right after this.
Attention blood thinner users. Thousands of blood thinner users may have been exposed to serious risk by these dangerous medications. If your loved one took Xarelto or Pradaxa and suffered serious internal bleeding, call right now. Call Nightline Legal to speak with an experienced attorney for a free consultation. If we don't win, there is no fee. There are time deadlines to file a claim, so don't wait. Call right now.
Call 1-800-554-3987. Again, that's 1-800-554-3987.
No theater lover's bucket list is complete without the classic black comedy Arsenic and Old Lace. 2 adorable old ladies who just happen to poison their tenants and bury them in their basement. Fun and farcical, this hilarious play is heating up the summer at the Players Center from August 9th through the 20th. Call 365-2494 or visit us at theplayers.org. You'll die laughing when you see Arsenic and Old Lace.
This is an important announcement. If you're between 50 and 85 and worried about your loved ones, you can still get affordable life insurance for peace of mind.
My life insurance coverage is guaranteed, and I was not required to get a medical exam.
I had high blood pressure and diabetes, and I got my coverage with 1 telephone call. No exam necessary.
I'm a smoker, and I wanted to take care of my family. I called to get my life insurance and my affairs in order. I wanted to do the right thing.
Call Final Expense No Exam Insurance. Your rates are guaranteed and will never increase.
I called and learned that this insurance cannot be canceled even if you get sick or gain weight.
And there are no restrictions on how my beneficiaries use the money when I'm gone.
Approval was easy and the price was right. I wanted to do this for my children.
Call 800-738-9812. 800-738-9812.
Checking our primetime headlines, both an emotional and inspiring day in Charlottesville, Virginia, at a memorial service for Heather Heyer, the 32-year-old woman killed when a car drove through a group of counter-demonstrators on Saturday during an alt-right rally. Omar Jimenez is in Charlottesville with more.
I'd rather have my child, but by golly, if I got to give her up, we're going to make it count.
A Virginia mother speaking to a capacity crowd in support of her daughter, Heather Heyer. She was killed Saturday in Charlottesville when a Dodge Challenger plowed into a crowd of people demonstrating against a white nationalist rally.
No father should have to do this, but I love my daughter.
Family, friends, co-workers all took turns sharing stories about the woman they remember fighting for what she believed in. Also in attendance, Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, Charlottesville Mayor Mike Signer, and Governor Terry McAuliffe.
We got to move forward together. We've got to stop the rhetoric. We've got to stop the language. We've got to work together.
The 32-year-old Heyer worked in Charlottesville as a paralegal. Her boss remembers one of the last things she said.
In one of the last staff meetings, she made the comment, if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention.
Heyer's memorial coming one day after President Trump spoke about Charlottesville in an impromptu press conference, blaming the violence, as he did over the weekend, on, quote, many sides. But Heyer's family and friends say Wednesday wasn't about the president. It was about one person and moving forward with a singular message.
They tried to kill my child to shut her up. Well, guess what? You just magnified her.
In Charlottesville, I'm Omar Jimenez.
Two more executives are out of President Trump's Manufacturing Council following his response to the violence in Charlottesville. Campbell Soup CEO Denise Morrison, and 3M CEO Ing Tholin announced their departures Wednesday. Following their announcements, President Trump tweeted he is disbanding two business councils. The rapid departures from the Manufacturing Council, totaling 8 as of Wednesday, were a protest to Trump's remarks on Charlottesville. 4 Confederate statues were down in Baltimore overnight. This is the video of the statues of Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson being removed by a flatbed in the middle of the night. On Monday, the Baltimore City Council voted in favor of removing the monuments. The push to take down Confederate monuments has increased following the events in Charlottesville over the weekend. Last year, the Southern Poverty Law Center cataloged 718 Confederate monuments and statues. About 300 of them are in Georgia, North Carolina, and Virginia. Joint statements by both former President George H.W. Bush and former President George W. Bush. America must always reject racial bigotry and anti-Semitism and hatred in all forms. As we pray for Charlottesville, we are reminded of the fundamental truths recorded by that city's most prominent citizen in the Declaration of Independence. We are all created equal and endowed by our Creator with unalienable rights. We know these truths to be everlasting because we have seen the decency and greatness of our country. And finally, a story that will certainly annoy President Trump. It's official. Former President Obama now has the most popular tweet in history. Saturday, following the deadly violence in Charlottesville, Obama tweeted a quote from Nelson Mandela that said, "No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or background or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love." And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.